new people online joined, but I previously introduced myself. My name is Zina and I work for Trias Pedagogica and I'm an anthropologist. And Abdellah Mehraz is the director of Trias Pedagogica, who is also present here. So I have already introduced Trias Pedagogica, but I have a nice little video for you, an animated video that really explains what we do with fathers. So we'll show that to you in a minute. Then we will talk about our methodology, domestic happiness, and also how it is relevant for divorced parents. And then we have a look at the board game that we have developed. Okay, this is the video. You have to start it, I think. Yeah. One moment, please.
Offers parenting debates with fathers, individual support. Trias Pedagogica.
Yeah, there we go.
Trias Pedagogica offers parenting debates with fathers, individual support for families, and training for professionals. They are particularly known for their parenting debates. This is a series of meetings where fathers discuss parenting with each other. Active elements include an outreaching method, learning from each other, and the use of the in-house developed card and board games. The parenting debates consist of a series of 8 meetings. We always start with the 4 basic debates, followed by 3 in-depth debates on a specific theme. Finally, a return day is organized a few weeks later. The in-depth debates are, among others, about domestic happiness and feelings and intimacy. During the debates, fathers share their own experiences and receive information from the debate leader. These tips are then applied in practice. Sometimes fathers still have certain questions after the debates. In that case, individual support is offered. Finally, Trias Pedagogica offers training, workshops, and tailor-made advice for professionals. An example that regularly occurs is that fathers do not feel heard when they come along to an appointment, for example, at the child health clinic. Many questions and answers are addressed to the mother. As a result, the father has the idea that he is there for nothing. In the training, the professionals learn to look from the father's perspective and increase their knowledge and skills. This allows them to connect better with the fathers in practice. Check out the website for more information about the offer and the method.
Okay. Yes. Oh. Okay, so like the video already explained, we have a series of 8 meetings or debates, how we call them. And we do this because we need a slow build up to build trust. The first 4 debates are what we call the basic debates, and they are very important. Like every parent that comes to us starts with the 4 basic debates, because they give parents the basic knowledge about the parenting and fatherhood, and specifically. Then we go forward with 3 more meetings that we call the in-depth debates. We have several topics, and one of those topics is domestic happiness, that we are talking about today. And there are 3 meetings. One is about what promotes domestic happiness. One is about what hinders domestic happiness. And the 7th is in conversation with professionals. After that, we organize a return day approximately 4 to 6 weeks later. So we can discuss with the parents, with the fathers, what they have learned and how they have put it into practice. So what do we mean by domestic happiness? We have defined this as a positive living environment, a safe space where the whole family is supported and where they can be themselves, are able to make mistakes and have the opportunity to grow. This of course also is this is also important for divorced families, because a lot of topics that we discuss are, for instance, about the importance of fatherhood, raising awareness about that, importance about communication with your partner. And even though parents are not together anymore, they're still parents from a kid together. So all these topics that we discuss are still relevant for divorced parents, and also our debates are open to anyone. It's very low threshold. There's no registration necessary, no requirements. So it often happens that we already have parents in there, fathers in there who have been divorced. And they can also, divorced fathers and not divorced fathers, they can also learn from each other's experiences. The aim of the debates is to support fathers with the promotion of domestic happiness and the prevention of domestic violence, raise awareness on the types of domestic violence, so not only physical but also emotional and mental, and raise awareness on the consequences of domestic violence on partner and children. Again, this also is still relevant for divorced families. During the debates, we enhance knowledge, raise awareness, and stimulate development of positive behavior and skills. So we are working with the hard to reach target group, a group that is normally not reached by formal help institutions. We focus on fathers, migrant fathers, who are very often lower practical educated and also very often living in vulnerable living conditions. It often happens that they are not able to read or not familiar with the Dutch language. And they struggle with questions about fatherhood and upbringing in the Dutch context. However, even though we focus on fathers and fatherhood, we also work with mothers, because we have noticed during the time that we also need to include mothers to because mothers are usually gatekeepers in the family, so they unconsciously don't give enough space for the fathers to be parenting in their own way. So we also do group discussions with mothers and talk about the importance of fatherhood and communication with your partner. And also we have groups that are mixed, so we have mothers and fathers. That depends a bit on the migration background, if that's possible or not. So like I said before, it's also valid for people who are separated. And actually, we are currently developing a track. We are constantly developing our, continuously developing our methodology. We're currently developing a track that is specific for people that are already divorced. And so if we have a group of divorced fathers, they can come together and talk a bit more in depth about that. And I want to talk to you a little bit about how we reach and keep the target group, because we have a couple of ways in which we do this, because this is quite hard to reach, but also keep. If you want to know more about this, you can read it in our methodology. It's written in detail, and you can download it for free on the website. And it's also in English. But I will go through it with you quickly. So first of all, we have an outreaching approach. This means that we reach out to key figures, informal organizations, and places of worship, for example, community centers. We go there, we invest a lot of time and attention, and usually there are already groups of fathers or parents coming together. And we suggest to them to maybe start with 1 or maybe start with 4 meetings and see how the parents like it, because again, we want to make it approachable, and 8 meetings for a lot of parents is a lot. So we usually start with 1 or 4, and then they get excited and they want to continue, and it very often happens that after the 8 meetings they still want to continue. So then we have to offer like other in-depth series about, I don't know, talking about sexuality or healthy lifestyle or prevention of criminality, sorry. And then we also go to the parents too, to the location. We adjust the times, so we don't do 9 to 5 during the weekday talks with the fathers because they are working. We do it very often in evening and the weekend. And the debate moderator should be either from the same migration background or at least speak the same language, because if they prefer to do it in their own language, we offer it in their own language. Our goal is not to learn them Dutch. Then we have attention to the migration context. So a lot of these parents have a lot of emotions about the Dutch context and upbringing in the Dutch context. There's room for that. There's also room for their values and their religion, who also plays a big role in their upbringing of the children. So they can talk about that. There's a lot of room for that. And lastly, very important, learning from each other. So we call it a debate because the parents are going in discussion with each other. They learn mostly from each other experiences. There is a debate moderator who is guiding it, but it's not so much educating. It's more like talking with each other. And he doesn't like put himself like above the parents, but it's more like if they're a group together. Some active elements that we have in our methodology. So for instance, like you may have noticed, we have a positive name. If we use prevention of domestic violence, parents are not going to come. If we say encouraging domestic happiness, then they're going to come. And also our motto is to focus on the intention of the parents, that it's always good, and even the behavior is not always corresponding, we know that they have a good intention. So that is what we want to focus on, and we don't want to patronize. We have diverse working methods. For instance, we have developed a couple of games, but we also use, for instance, animations that we show during the meetings. For instance, this image here, it's a starting point for discussion. Like, what do you see here? What is happening? What would you do? How would you respond? And then there's different responses in the group, and then they kind of go into discussion and they learn from each other. Like I said before, we work together with professionals. We do this in the 7th meeting, so at the very end, because there has to be already a level of trust with the debate moderator before we can invite a professional. But why do we do this? In our target group, there's a lot of distrust towards professionals. So we have noticed that if we invite the professional to come over and they have like a face-to-face conversation, they notice, oh, this professional is not so scary at all. And they know an organization where they can go to. Like, for instance, if they don't know any person who can help them with domestic violence, now they know somewhere where to go. And currently we're working with also in this topic with people that know a lot about tips for people that live in poverty, because it's a very big issue, and people that work with drug and alcohol abuse. And then lastly, securing changes is how do we make sure that the changes are secured. So we do this by involving the fathers actively with the interactive elements. We do this by adjusting the program to their liking. So if there's a topic that they really want to talk about, we pay a lot of attention to that, even though we have topics that we want to discuss. If there's something really important for the fathers, we may focus more on that. Or if there's like an actuality, we focus on that. And then lastly, the return day is very important, that they come back and we have learned this and we put this into practice, and they talk amongst each other about how they've done that. And then lastly, I want to show you this card game that we have developed, which we use. So this is actually a game that we have used, that we use with the fathers. They play it in small groups. And it's a playful way that the parents can learn about what promotes and hinders domestic happiness and how to stimulate it. So there are 63 cards divided into 3 categories. We have situation, happiness, and discussion cards. And depending on the answers that the players give, they have to move forward or backwards on the board. And in the end, they can reach domestic happiness. So they can give like good answers, they can give like okay answers, they can give bad answers, but they can also give really bad answers, and then they have to go all the way back to start. So for example, if they say like, yeah, I'm gonna hit my child, then they move back to start, because then they know I will never reach domestic happiness. So this is kind of how the game works. And then lastly, I'm gonna show you a couple of examples. So this is an example of a situation card. So what do? Your children are arguing about toys, and then they have 6 options that they can choose from. So set the rules about toys, listen to the children, yell that they need to stop, slap them to make them stop, speak with them to solve the argument, give the youngest child what he or she wants. So there are several options that are like maybe a good choice and maybe not so good choice. Then the player who picks the card will answer this card, but the fathers are going in discussion together. So maybe he picks like, oh, I'm gonna slap them to make them stop, and then the other father says, no, you should never do that, it's not a good point. I always I don't know, listen to the children first, why they do it. And then they go in discussion. And then this is an example of a happiness card. It's a reward. You have given your partner a compliment. She is so happy about it. You get to take 2 steps forward. So here they don't have to do anything, but it raises awareness about this is a way that you can include in your life to reach domestic happiness. And lastly, discussion cards are very important. This is an example. Arguments within our family are never settled. So then they are going to discuss amongst each other, like, are we talking about arguments? Are we not? And what do we do about it? Yeah, that's it. We are launching the game also in an online version very soon. So please, if you are interested in maybe using the online version, contact us. And we have a QR code here if you want to read our methodology, but you can also go to the website and find it there. Currently, the one of the basic debates is there in English, and very soon the one of the domestic violence will also be there in English. And yeah, thank you very much. If there are questions, I'm happy.